over me. She's over me. She caught me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with the network. I can't seem to find it. It's not picking up. It's being a bit of a problem here. So let me try again to see if we can get it to pick up. I'm just trying to join us to the rest of the world, folks. There it goes. Looks like it finally picked up. Ladies and gentlemen, the Paranormal Portal is now live. I think we are in business. Let's hear if we've got TFR coverage here. Can you hear me? Let's see if it's working. Thank you, Lucky. I'm sure this is you that helps get us all set up here. So hopefully it's all working now and we can get underway here on the Paranormal Portal because, by God, we got a lot to do. I don't know what's going on. Waiting for some feedback from, well, nobody's in there to say anything now. So it's about perfect. So Bam was in there, but it looks like he took off. He went off to YouTube. So Bam, if you're listening on YouTube, let me know if you go back over to TFR, if you've actually got sound over there, if you would, please. I'm not quite sure. Looks like we're connected. Oh, Lucky says sound is good. God bless you, Lucky. Love you bunches. Mean it. So, and I do mean it. I love Lucky. She's awesome. She's been with me forever.
Since day one.
Since day one, she's been right in. She's like my little shadow angel. She just kind of hangs out there and has helped me through troubled times. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Paranormal Portal. It's Saturday, and I'm not alone here. I am joined, of course, by my good friend, my co-host, the Paranormal Portal's big toe himself, Mr. Don Longbeard. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hola.
Hola to you.
Got lots of love.
Got all kinds of love.
Because
Because that's what we work here, Don.
Mm-hmm.
We are nothing but loving, gentle,
We're
gentle examples of modern man. I'm in touch with my feminine side. I'm in touch.
I'm pretty primitive sometimes.
Don, your knuckles don't drag anymore, so you're on the right path.
Oh, thank goodness.
You're evolving. But, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to do, and now that we got a little hiccup on the right out the gate, I think we're good. But let's get to the news. What do you say, Don?
The news.
Don News. Here we go. I love a little stress right away in the beginning of a broadcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Paranormal Portal News Desk, where I am your anchor and Don is my co-anchor, and we pretend that we are bringing you all kinds of wonderful information. We're pretending news, Don. It's like the Portal's just a bunch of pretending. We pretend to be entertaining.
Oh, Rachel, you're such a schmooze.
What did she do?
She says, bigger the toe, bigger the heart. Oh, wow.
Oh, I didn't know that's how it worked. Okay.
Oh,
All right. Well, there you go.
I think I just fell in love.
There you go. It was bound to happen sooner or later. If it wasn't on the grill, it was something else.
Yeah, well, that's the way to my heart's through my stomach, that's for sure. Put it on the grill anyhow.
Yeah, Rachel, get on the grill.
Like,
That's
do
it.
it. Whoa.
Just kidding. As gross and disturbing as that was, I do apologize. I have no filter. So you get it all as it occurs to me, ladies and gentlemen. I can't be held responsible.
Get it all.
Anyway, let's get to the first article tonight from unexplained-mysteries.com. Prankster Remy Gilliard sparks UFO flap.
See how fast he's moving? It's because he doesn't want me to say anything.
I'm just trying to make enough noise that you don't have room. If I talk quick enough, there's no way you're going to be able to
I
interject.
know how that guy works.
After all these years, you should, by God.
Bring the dry rub.
Ooh, hey. It's a family show, folks. Let's keep it clean here, huh? All right, let's continue on. Prankster Remy Gaillard sparks UFO flap in France. It says the legendary YouTube prankster used a drone to produce fake UFO sightings and then dressed up as an alien.
No way.
Wow, look at that convincing outfit. Whatever. Gilliard, who, however the hell you say that, who remains one of YouTube's most notorious pranksters. Sorry, I got that notification that screwed me all up. Is certainly no stranger to controversy, having been apprehended by the police on multiple occasions due to his audacious stunts, which have included go-karting around town as Mario, dressing up as a speed camera and sneaking into Mr. Universe competition, and pretending to be one of the contestants. His latest stunt, which produced a spate of UFO sightings in southern France, involving flying a drone equipped with a light around the area at the same time each night. He then dressed up as an alien and pulled a series of elaborate pranks involving a crashed UFO.
Yep.
These included calling a garage to come pick up his broken down flying saucer being photographed, filling his UFO with gas, and being caught trying to hitch a hike to Area 51 on an airport runway. In another scene, he held up cues of traffic while trying to abduct a cow in the middle of the road. As is often the case with Gaillard, some of these pranks will have likely put him at odds with local authorities, especially with the fire brigade being called out during the airport gag. Sightings of his fake drone UFO even made local news on more than one occasion. You can check out the full video below. Well, we can't because I don't know this guy and I don't want him striking my video. So, but let's just suffice it to say the guy is obviously plenty motivated to make his name known.
Yeah, I forgot about him. I don't know why. I don't know how.
I'm not sure. But anyway, I love, go-karts are fun.
Yeah.
I haven't ridden a go-kart in years.
I'm going to get one built soon.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. You got to get 2 built and I'll come out.
No, it's going to be a 2-seater, bro.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
We can't play Mario Kart if we're both in the same cart.
It doesn't matter.
We're throwing turtles and stuff at each other. Banana peels. It'll be great. We'll make a video of it, Don, for the channel.
Get a go-kart, they said. It'll be fun, they said. As
We're all-
you're upside down in the
Yeah,
cage going,
we got like bandages and slings the next time we have a live show. Yeah, that'd be about right, wouldn't it? That'd be how it worked. But there you go, folks. That's maybe on the bucket list here for the Paranormal Portal. We're going to have to start a GoFundMe for a couple of go-karts, but...
that's not a bad idea either.
So if you want to see
idea.
Paranormal Portal Mario Kart, then we're going to start the GoFundMe, and we appreciate your help. I have to change the total format of the show. But next up, ladies and gentlemen, is another.
All that room out there. I've got.
I know you've got
big old field,
miles of field. We could make a hell of a track. Yeah. Just have to get it paved and put ramps and jumps on it and stuff. But other than that.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, the next one. Here's one from unexplained-mysteries.com that you probably didn't expect to see. 50 million crabs cause chaos on Australia's Christmas Island.
Wow.
It's not beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
It's beginning to look a lot like Crabmas. Everywhere I see.
That's right. Looks like an all-you-can-eat buffet there, Don.
Biblical migration, huh? Wow.
Yeah, how about you wait till I read the article, though?
sorry.
You're sneaking ahead. What the hell? The annual biblical migration of bright red crabs on Christmas Island is a spectacle like no other on Earth. The streets, paths, and forest floors and beaches of this idyllic island have been running red this week thanks to the annual migration of millions upon millions of red crabs, which travel from the island's jungles to its beaches. A journey of several miles where they will look for a mate. You'd think they could just, on the way there, just go, hey, you free? And like do a quick hookup and head back to the jungle and
I
skip.
got some dry rub.
It's called beach sand. That's dry rub right there, buddy. That's crack rub right there. Don't forget your towel. I'm just saying, beach mating is kind of painful, I think. So,
You're just making it worse.
I know. This is so far down the toilet already. Might as well ride it out like a bucking bronco. They're not going to salvage the integrity of this show now, Don. Anyway, they'll look for mates. Afterwards, the males will return to the jungle while the females remain on the beaches in burrows to lay their eggs.
Oh, them beaches.
Yeah, exactly. They will then emerge and release the eggs into the sea. This particular species of crab, known as the Christmas Island red crab. Wow, they stayed up all night thinking of that name.
Wow, that's original.
Wow. How'd they ever come up with that? It's Christmas Island. They're crabs and they're colored red. Wow.
What more could you ask for?
They do a raffle in the local kindergarten. Name the crab. All right. This particular species of crab, red crab, found nowhere else on Earth, making their annual migration a particularly unique spectacle. The island's human inhabitants are well used to it by now and have even built infrastructure to help the crabs on their journey, such as special crossings to help them traverse busy roads. In some areas, the huge wave of crabs is so extreme that residents are unable to leave their homes at all for a short time. A period that some have come to refer as crab lockdown.
Wow.
Why ain't you in school? I had crabs.
Oh, no.
Sorry, folks.
Oh, my God.
You're getting the unfiltered me tonight. Others.
This is not a valid menu.
It sure as hell isn't. This is nowhere near a valid menu. This is so far from a valid menu.
I have done nothing. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Others simply do their best to stay out of the crab's way and not to accidentally stand on any of them. Local radio stations will often broadcast bulletins informing residents about the current status of the migration and forecasting when it will start and end. Unfortunately, the crabs themselves are not interested in humans and do not represent a threat. Well, do they got pinchers? I mean, do they?
Yeah, I'm imagining they do.
Yeah, it looks like they do. This guy's. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's sitting right among them.
I know it's like, holy bad posture. First of all,
is not like the other.
yeah, he's sitting in the wrong way, in the wrong position, sitting on a pile of crabs.
Did you ever see that? Did you ever see that Greatest Catch where the
Guy's
crab had him by his?
Oh no, probably not. No,
He's like, ah.
that's pretty sketchy though, huh?
Oh yeah, that'd be bad. My goodness.
That guy's just totally sitting there, like it's like he's sitting on the crabs, dude. What? I don't.
He must have brushed him off. I mean,
I hope he's wearing a cup or something. Man. that could be a disaster. And ladies and gentlemen, we report from the beach. Yeah, ouch.
Oh, and today's feel good news. Today is Asset Ramsey's birthday. He's 46.
Oh, happy birthday!
46.
Wow, congratulations! Happy birthday!
You're still young.
You've officially made another journey around the sun, brother. Nice job.
Woohoo!
Woo! Well done. Happy birthday. Getting back to the news because there's so much great information coming out of the portal tonight. Let's see what we got next. Here's another one. What? Oh, this one is kind of weird. I saw this one. It's like, what is this? So I wanted to read it, and that's why I pulled it up. Another one from unexplained-mysteries.com, folks. Mystery surrounds man of Etna found dead in remote cave. It says police in Italy have discovered the remains of a man who is thought to have died over 50 years ago. The unidentified individual was also discovered by a police officer and his alpine rescue dog during a training exercise in a cave on the remote slopes of Mount Etna in Sicily, Italy, has proved something of a mystery to investigators, with forensic experts still working to determine his identity. According to reports, he was around 50 years of age when he died and was found wearing long dark trousers, a woolen jumper, a striped shirt, and a black tie. And he had also been in possession of a woolly hat, a dark green raincoat, and a quantity of old Italian lira, a currency that is no longer used. He's also been described as having congenital malformations to his nose and mouth. Okay, the area is very isolated, and we go there periodically to do our training, said Lieutenant Colonel Massimiliano Pachetto. It was thanks to the sniffer dog that the remains were found. According to police investigators, the cave in which he was found is extremely difficult to reach, suggesting that he may have ended up trapped inside, unable to safely escape. So far, no evidence has been found to suggest that he was murdered. One of the most important lines of inquiry to the case has been to go over reports of missing persons from around the time that the man had died to see if there was any record of him. One possibility is that he could be Mauro de Mauro. It's got two of the same names.
Chavez.
A 49-year-old journalist who disappeared without a trace in 1970. Investigations at the time suggested that he could have been kidnapped and killed by the mafia due to his knowledge of an assassination that had occurred at the time.
Ooh.
What he would have been doing in a remote cave, however, remains unclear.
Well, if he was kidnapped by the mob.
I know, it's like, why was that guy swimming with cement shoes? What was he thinking? Maybe he didn't want to go to the cave either. Isn't that how that works, Don?
Well, the cement shoes apparently didn't fit. Yeah. If the shoes don't fit, you got to quit.
Yeah. He just went spelunking without any rope. It's like, I'm going spelunking. Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. I don't know. The mystery is still out there. Nobody knows, but at least he's been found. That's a good thing.
Well, somebody's been found.
Well, that guy has been found. I don't know, his body, whoever he is.
A body, they believe.
It's a his, though. It's a he, right?
Well, I don't know.
We don't know.
No.
Well, that's true.
This is some plumbing that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. Said he had malformations on his face. I don't think it was going anywhere else with that journey.
Oh, Pinocchio!
All right. Well, here we go. There's some news out of Egypt.
Egypt? No way.
Did you say Pinocchio?
Yes. Lie to me, lie to me.
I'm a real boy. Honest, I didn't lie. All right, let's go before this goes even worse. This is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Major find as long-lost Egyptian sun temple unearthed. There you go, Don. They found the sun temple.
Wow. Yeah.
Archaeologists believe that they have discovered the location of one of the 6 Egyptian sun temples. Built thousands of years ago, each sun temple was constructed for a specific pharaoh while they were still alive, with the aim of assisting their ascension to the state of godhood, both in this life and in the next. Only 6 of these temples were ever built, and to date, only 2 of them have ever been found. Now, however, archaeologists excavating the site of one of the 2 sun temples in Abu Ghorab believe they have discovered evidence of a third one. If true, it would be one of the most significant discoveries in Egypt in 50 years. The evidence comes in the form of an older base of mud bricks found underneath the remains of the sun temple built for the pharaoh, Nayusir Ini, who ruled for around 30 years in the 25th century BC. We knew that there was something below the stone temple of Nayusir, Dr. Masamayo Nuzolo told the Telegraph, not telegraphed. The fact that there was such a huge entrance would point to a new building. So why not another sun temple, one of the missing sun temples? Further excavations have revealed additional evidence pointing to this conclusion. However, it may be a while before the discovery can be fully confirmed. If this really is a third sun temple, it will be a major discovery indeed. Nice. Well, there you go. That's nice. They're tracking all those sun temples.
I want to know how they know that all these are built for pharaohs when there's never been a pharaoh found in any pyramids anywhere.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. One that I'm not qualified to answer either. So, the mystery continues.
The better place to look would be in Saqqara. But anyhow, let's just leave that at that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not learned enough on any of this stuff. Wager an opinion too much, but well, they found something.
Ramsey's drinking wine tonight.
Wow, what the hell is that? I was thinking that for us, Don. I was thinking of having some libations tonight.
We have enough cheese around here. Come on.
All right.
Jeez.
Yeah, get the rim shot. It's a pity rim shot, but you get it.
What was that?
Hey. All right, so the next one, because we got all 3 minutes left, and this is the last article for the night. And this is a real strange one. This comes out of the archives. As of February 23rd, 2016, man has his name changed to Cheeseburger, ladies and gentlemen. Cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger.
It's Cheeseburger.
That's wonderful.
Simon Smith of London got so bored with his name that he had it changed to Bacon Double Cheeseburger.
Oh, no.
The 33-year-old. You imagine that gets pulled over by the cop. What's your name, son? Bacon Double Cheeseburger?
Can I have a leg?
Oh, turn around. Get out of the car. That's it.
You've been drinking, son.
Yeah. The 33-year-old who had decided that his birth name simply wasn't important because he hadn't picked it himself made his exotic new moniker official through the UK deed poll service. The name is the least important part of your personality, he said. It's given up to you by someone else. Bacon Double Cheeseburger was the first name I came up with. And other examples of bizarre name changes from the last few years include a man who changed his name to Happy Birthday and a couple who had themselves renamed Mr. and Mrs. Amazing. Oh, no. It gave us a chuckle, but it is what it is. It is what they want to do. It's their choice, said a spokeswoman. Unfortunately, the video is no longer available.
Thank God.
So,
is he running for mayor? Only of Clowntown.
Who said that? That's
Rachel.
Hilarious. Rachel, you are brilliant.
Only of Clowntown.
It's Mayor McCheese. Oh, yes.
Mayor McCheese.
It's Mayor Bacon Double Cheeseburger. Might be the chief of police. Anyway, I don't know.
The cheese of police.
Cheese of police. Yeah. There you have it, folks. This has been a presentation of the Paranormal Portal News for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Wow.
All right, let's fold that train up.
Well, you know, he could have changed his name to Crab Louis.
Crab Louis.
That's French, right? Or not French, but Italian. Yeah.
It might be.
That's where the crabs are, right?
Yeah, but that guy was from the UK, the bacon
well,
cheeseburger guy.
Yeah, chip beef on toast.
Fish and chips. That's our new.
I was gonna say Arby's beef burger with extra horsey sauce.
Oh God, no! Horsey sauce is the antichrist of burger condiments. It's horrible stuff. Horrible stuff. Ugh, I told that story on the show before, so I won't get into it again. But I was mentally scarred by horsey sauce. Oh, wretched stuff. It is like it's like the. Never mind. Oh God. I was so sad.
He's gonna keep going.
I was so sad, Don. It really impacted me because I was broken.
He's got PTSD from.
I do, but you just brought it all back.
Arby's BBQ or whatever.
It was a double beef, regular beef and cheddar.
Okay, whatever.
Oh man! All right, folks, Saved by the Bell. We're gonna go to break, so there's more of this fun on the other side. If you want to come back, we'll be right here screwing up the rest of your night. So don't go away. and gentlemen, we are back. I didn't turn on the moon. Did you know that, Don?
Yeah, I know that.
You noticed that?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
I gotta tell you though, this new moon though that you got here just looks like a white spot.
Yeah, it does,
It looks
doesn't
like
it?
it's like an orb that just sits there.
It's my magical moon orb. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, the new moon.
New moon. Hey, wasn't last night like
Is that better?
a beaver full moon or something like that?
I
A full beaver moon. That's what it was called. It was called.
Okay.
It's called a full beaver moon or something like that.
Here it was. That's
It
what they
was,
called
I swear
it.
to gosh, I swear it.
Is that better? That really doesn't matter. It's the sensitivity of the cameras. This is my new moon, ladies and gentlemen. If you're looking on YouTube, you can see this, of course. That's me holding the moon. It's a full moon. Okay. We if you want a shout out, I would recommend talking in chat right now because
David Oglesby said it was a beaver moon.
it was a beaver
Yeah,
moon.
beaver-
Okay, whatever.
a full beaver moon.
Whatever the hell that means. All right, full beaver moon. You got it. Don, you want to do some shout outs?
Happy birthday to Acid Ramses, Cold Stare, Dan Camp, Daryl's here, David Burns, David Ogleby, Dream, Lisa Marie, Matthew's here, Rachel Gets It Right, Sugar Britches, she's been here, Tracy Gale, and that's all I see right now.
Is that it?
That's
who's
all I
talking?
see now.
That's who the moon says. That's who's talking.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Did I say Rachel Gets It Right? I don't know.
I think you did. Well, we've said her
Sure.
name quite a bit.
That's true.
Brent is slapping his full moon. I'm showing you the full moon, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
That's
boy.
it. No extra charge. This
Dream.
is-
Did I say Dream?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Dream's here too.
Dreams here, too.
Lucifer, S. Morningstar.
Oh,
He is
Mr.
also
Lucifer.
here.
Welcome to the show.
It's Tracy
Say-
Kale. I don't know if I said that one. Digger Dog's here. Didn't say Digger Dog. I know that.
Outstanding. Well, ladies and gentlemen.
Elaine Clifford. Yes.
Oh,
Hi,
Elaine came in.
Yes,
Good.
Elaine's here.
All right.
Nice.
Matthew Learned. Did you say Matthew?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all of you for being here, and thank you all of you that are yet to show up. But
How does a beaver moon taste like vanilla?
no. Do you know why?
No.
There's a gland in the beaver
Oh!
that's used for vanilla flavoring. Yeah,
Oh, that's what they say.
for artificial vanilla flavoring. You can still get the real stuff, but I would encourage the real stuff.
I got sucked right into that one. I remember now.
That's right, folks. Yeah, that's apparently true. There is a gland that's used. Well, it used to be used more. It's kind of being cut out now for the most part.
It's
But
because it's not kosher.
no, it's nowhere near kosher. It's not even in the same zip code as kosher.
It's halal.
It's not halal. No, it's not kosher or halal. So,
Oh, goodness.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some Dogman stuff tonight.
No
That's
Beaver
right.
Man?
I have none. I'm staying way the hell away from Beaver Man.
He's probably got all the crabs.
Yeah, you want to know about the crabs? We're going to get into that in the second hour of the show, but tonight I'm going to start out with what the hell? Something under my feet.
Yeah, it's
I don't even know what that is.
looks like a little 10-star.
No, but it is part of a toy of some kind. There you go. I'll put that aside for the minion. I'm sure it ended up in here somehow. But we are going to get into some other stuff first here. And the first is some creepy people, places, and things from Ranker.com.
Welcome
and
to the portal.
people describe their haunting encounters with disappearing places. Now, this is apparently places that disappear, which is why they said that in the title, which is good. But I just saw this and I was like, God, that looks interesting. Let's check this out. And it was written by Samantha Dillinger. It was updated May 7th, 2021. And this again is from ranker.com. Let's see. Liveliest imaginations, the disappearing into thin air trope is common. So these are places people visited and then they disappeared. So let's check it out. I like these because these are almost like, we've all heard of time slips, time shifts, but this is almost like a space shift. And I think these are really interesting. They come up once in a while, not a spaceship, a space shift. I'm coining that phrase now. I don't know if that'll stick, but it's my attempt to immortalize myself in the common words. The woods we walked into were not my woods. All right, here it goes from Redditor Today's Trash. I've been an avid horsewoman my entire life. The barn I grew up riding at was in a rural area situated on a few hundred acre of undeveloped land. I spent a lot of time out in those woods and saw a whole lot of nature happen out there. It's as close to perfect solitude as you're going to get in western New York. In my late teens, I had a horse who was pretty damn great guy, but I put him up for sale as I felt I was ready for a more challenging animal and could not afford 2 horses. One lazy summer morning, I packed a lunch and headed out for a long meandering ride in the woods. I wasn't feeling terribly ambitious that day and intended to head to a man-made pond I knew near one of the border farms to have lunch and read for a bit before heading back. About halfway there, I decided to take an alternate route that led along a pretty tree-lined ridge and turned off the main trail. I have no idea what happened when I turned into that cutoff, but the woods we walked into were not my woods. They weren't creepy or weird or wrong, but they were different. I was immediately disoriented, nothing looked familiar, and I couldn't pick out any landmarks or trails. I was weirded out enough that I turned around to go back to the main trail, but the trail back was just gone. It couldn't have been more than 30 yards from the main trail, but for the life of me, I couldn't find it or any way back to it. We traveled back in that direction for longer than we'd been walking in, and I finally gave up and just gave my horse control of the aircraft, figuring he'd find his way towards home eventually. And he immediately took a hard left, which should have been taking us parallel to the main trail and in the general direction of home. And 10-ish minutes later, he walked us into a clearing. It was a meadow with a perfect serene pond in the middle. The meadow was short, tidy grass like it had been mowed recently, but there were no obvious routes for any sort of mower to get in or out. The pond was weirdly clear. Most of the water in the area is very swampy, but this was clean and fresh smelling. The wildflowers around were not any I'd seen before. I assumed it was some farmer's personal zen place and didn't think too much of it. I hopped off, let my buddy loose to graze, ate my lunch, read for a bit, and enjoyed a gorgeous afternoon sitting there watching the dragonflies and frogs and spending time with my horse, generally feeling peaceful and content. It was really a storybook setting, and I remember thinking how weird it was that no one from the barn had ever mentioned this incredibly beautiful place that was so close to home. I packed up a couple of hours later and remounted, and then headed back the way we'd come in. As we left the clearing and went back into the woods, I immediately felt at home again, and I found the main trail right where my internal compass said it should be. It didn't make much sense to me that the main trail was still that distance back when we had traveled what felt like a mile in that direction, but I honestly thought I'd just been daydreaming and meandered off course when I'd turned around. We got back to the barn with no issue, and I headed home that night feeling very grateful to have such a wonderful, peaceful afternoon with my equine friend, knowing that he was going to a new home soon. The next day I mentioned the meadow and pond to the barn owner, and she looked a bit confused. Her family's been there for generations, and she told me she didn't recall any such area anywhere near the barn, nor did she recall anyone else mentioning such a place. I told her she had to see it, and we tacked up and headed out. Couldn't find it. Not that day, and not since. The owner shrugged me off, but I'd spent 6 hours out there somewhere, and that damn place wasn't more than 30 yards from the main trail, and near a well-used cutoff to another well-used trail. I made it my damn mission to find it, and spent the next 2 weeks scouring the area in the 20 years since. I have never been able to locate it. And I pored over satellite images of the area, nothing. So far as I can tell, it doesn't exist. When we turned off the main trail that day, we went somewhere else. Epilogue: my horse perished suddenly a couple of weeks later, a day after literally saving my life while we were out on the trail looking for that damned impossible meadow. No joke. I have no explanation for that meadow, but I don't think I get to go back there. I know how ridiculous this sounds, but honestly, think it was his place, and he was sharing it with me before he left for good. I'm not the sort of woman prone to that sort of flight of fancy, But I know what I saw and what I felt, and I know this place doesn't exist out there anymore.
Wow, that's an interesting idea.
Right?
Yeah, I was thinking, maybe it was just that she let the horse go and he found it.
Mm-hmm.
But the way she tells it is she let the horse go and took her there.
Right.
So, it's a lot different. It
Yeah,
sounds
it
the
is.
same, but it's a lot different.
It is. That's really a cool story, though. I've never heard something like that before. And again, you got to take it for whatever it is. But the next one is, I have no idea what that gas station attendant was trying to save me from. This is from Redditor _Selly or Chelly. It says, I was driving from Dallas to Tuscaloosa, left at midnight, and drove straight through the night, with two friends passed out sleeping. It was probably 4 a.m., and I had a quarter of a tank of gas, which translates to about 100 miles. I saw that the nearest town was about 90 miles, so I was pretty worried about making it. Before I hit that town, I ran into a tiny town that wasn't on the map. A few houses, a gas station, a convenience store, and that was about it. I walked into the gas station and handed the guy $50 so I could fill up. He was a really tall, skinny black guy, like skin wrapped around bones level skinny. Probably 6'5" at least. And he just had this eerie look about him. He looked at me, leaned over the counter, scanned the outside, and looked back at me, and he handed me my 50 back and a hat and said, look, you look like a nice young fella. You don't want to be out here at this time of night looking like that. Put the hat on and get to your car quickly and get gas at the next town. Based on the way he said it and how he pointed, looking like that was about being white, I think, but I'm not positive. I was super confused and just said, I don't have enough gas to get there. That's why I'm here. I didn't even know this place existed. He responded, it doesn't. Here, there's 2 gallons left in this can. Just drive another 15 to 20 miles out and use those 2 gallons. But please, you need to move now. At this point, I stopped questioning him and left. On my return trip, it was daytime, so I wanted to stop back in and return the can with the 2 gallons in it, but wouldn't you know it, I couldn't find the damn little town again. It's like it disappeared over the weekend. To this day, I refuse to stop in small towns that aren't on the map. I have no idea what the gas station employee was trying to save me from, but he pushed me out of there with some urgency and even gave me free gas to do so. Wow, that's creepy. What do you suppose is going on there, Don?
I don't know.
That's creepy, though, right?
That's like some Captain Spaulding kind of stuff going on right there.
What's Captain Spaulding?
Captain Spaulding.
Why do I recognize that?
House of 1,000 Corpses.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, very strange. And the next one is, we saw this house just lighting up the jungle. Wow. Let's see what this one's about. This is by TDA Snowman. Okay. Cyberjaya, Malaysia. Well, it'd be Cyberjaya if it's Indonesian, Malaysian language. I was opening a call center, so working nights to match U.S. hours, our typical lunch spot was closed for a few days. One guy, he said he knew a place close by. We piled in his car and off we went into the jungle. At that time, if you headed towards Kuala Lumpur, it stayed pretty urban or suburban. You headed some other direction, it got dark fast. We were out on these roads where street lights go for regular intervals to what seemed like one every 5 kilometers, and it quickly became obvious the driver was lost. He stopped looking for a place to eat and was outright just looking for the way back to the office. Then we saw this house with a counter where the car park should be, just lighting up the jungle around it. We pulled in, mostly for directions. Turned out this was a random little mamak outdoor food stall built into someone's house. They operated for the farms in the area and were in the process of shutting down, but stayed open to feed us. Out in the middle of the jungle, I had some of the freshest and best Indo-Chinese food. They were even able to give us directions to get back to the office area. We tried to find that spot again like a week later, though we reversed the directions. We found nothing but trees. Well, there you go. When there is a need, does it manifest? Does something manifest? Good or bad? You never know, but I'm just saying. That's where the old nuns of the school were laid to rest. And this is by Growl Interrupted.
Growl Interrupted.
Yeah. I went to an all-girls Catholic school. It was, oh, there you go. Right. It was a very big school, around 2,000 students, wow. K through 12, located on top of a mountain and surrounded by some sort of forest. When I was in second grade, around 8 years old, my friends and I liked walking around and exploring different places in school and the woods nearby, which was off limits. Sounds like Hogwarts, right?
It sounds like that place where the kids have to climb
up the cliff.
Yeah, climbing up the cliff. I'm like, oh my God.
The pond and other school buildings and facilities. One day, my friends and I stumbled on an area that looked like a series of tombs, where there were maybe 20 plus tombs in there. Some open, some closed. We don't know how we got there, but we were curious little kids, so we went closer to see. As we got closer to the tombs, an old man holding a broom came out of nowhere and surprised us. He said he was the caretaker of the place, and that's where the old nuns of the school were laid to rest. After that, he told us we shouldn't be there and to not come back, so we left. Now comes the weird part. After leaving the area, my friends and I found ourselves in an unfamiliar place. Seems like we were lost. We were getting nervous, but just decided to keep walking until we found some place familiar. We walked for like 10 minutes, and then one of us saw one of the school buildings, which made it easy for us to get back to our classroom. Turned out we had been gone for 4 hours, and the school guards and teachers had been looking for us. As we explained to them that we just walked around and saw the tombs, the teachers and school guards gave us a weird look and said there was no such place.
Wow.
Wow, that's creepy. That's creepy. When I emerged, I was in a desert. This sounds creepy, too. Nemesis of Time, Thyme. Nemesis of Time.
Was that basil?
Yeah, I guess so.
Basil.
Could be celery salt.
Oh, gosh.
When I was 7, all potential credibility has just been abandoned, I'm sure. I rode my bike into a tunnel under a 2-lane road. When I emerged, I was in a desert. The path was still there. It went straight off into the desert, but there were a few cactus plants, and it was hot and sunny. Quickly turned around, went back through the tunnel, and emerged into my own hometown park, where it was late afternoon in November with lots of West Coast trees. I looked through the tunnel and could see the other side of the park with no cactus, just normal trees. Huh. Even though it's a 7-year-old, I can still see that happening. I mean, what's the difference how old you are? It happens to adults, apparently.
Right.
So why does it become invalidated because it's a young kid?
Because they have flights of fancy.
Well, they do, but so do adults, you know, and I don't know. I find kids usually are more credible than a lot of adults, to be honest with you. Here's... The cabin was very dark and strange. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. Some of my relatives lived a few kilometers walk from my house, up a hill, and they had to go to, and they had woods behind their houses. I used to explore the woods all the time. I knew the paths in place as well. You couldn't go too far because there was a cliff and an incredibly deep lake beyond the cliff. Anyway, one day while walking, I saw an old log cabin. It was sitting in the middle of a field, and I had been to many times before. It was a bright and sunny day. The field was lit up in gold. The cabin was very dark and strange, and I felt like I shouldn't go near it because I knew it shouldn't have been there. I was very confused to suddenly see this cabin that had never existed before. I left the woods, but went back numerous times looking for the cabin again. Never saw it again in my life. And I do know the location it was in. I wasn't lost. And again, there are only a few places you can go back in those woods since there is a cliff and a lake. It's not like miles and miles of woods before you reach the cliff. That's creepy. Wonder what would have happened. So what was the house? What would have happened if he'd gone into it? Was that a portal? Was that something else? I mean, did it even exist? Who knows? Any of these stories may or may not be real, but we have to assume, as they're presented as such, that they're alleged to be real.
Well, it's their perception, you know.
Right.
Wandering hungry and thirsty through somewhere is gonna get you somewhere. We just don't know where.
Yeah.
But especially during twilight and early dawn.
Sure.
Yeah, I can imagine some weird things happening.
Yeah, I can too. And I know I've seen a lot of strange things in my life, so none of these stories strike me as impossible. I've never seen this kind of thing myself, but I have gone through a time slip or at least a spatial distance slip, so I've experienced that. But finding yourself in a whole different place, I can't recall any experiences like that myself. This one is called I Did Find a Sweets Shop That Didn't Seem to Exist. This is from a former Redditor, so the person must not have the account anymore, but
Or got kicked off.
they got kicked off. I've never had anything really spooky happen to me. However, I did find a sweet shop that didn't seem to exist. In college, I ended up in the next town over. I knew almost nothing of this town. It probably sprang up in the early 40s, as most of the buildings had in that sort of architecture. I was exploring the town and got a bit lost and ended up at this sweets shop. They did cookies, cakes, and chocolates. I got a couple dozen of those little butter cookies that disintegrate when you put them in your mouth. I asked them how to get back to the main road, pre-smartphone era, and thanked them, said I'd be back. Tried to find the place later, but never could. Asked others for directions. I was told repeatedly there was no shop like that. It must have been the best kept secret in town. I don't think they would refuse business though, right?
Yeah, well,
Well, I don't know. Went back for another ramen and it just wasn't there.
Oh, that would suck.
Especially for ramen, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're like wandering around somewhere in Japan and you find a nice little spot hole in the wall because that's how you find them, and then you go back to get another one. There was actually a show called Samurai Gourmet on Netflix. Oh,
Okay.
It was an awesome show.
Okay.
But yeah, that would suck.
Well, let's find out what happened in here. There was this ramen place that got recommended by a local in the old east side of Tokyo.
I bet.
We ate there together, didn't drink or anything. The place's location was straightforward from the gas station. Went back there for another ramen the next night, and it just wasn't there. I circled the neighborhood, and it just wasn't there. Best ramen I have ever had to date. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Very cool. The next one, they said it was an insane asylum. This is by STHRIND. I think that's how you say the name. I don't know. It's just a bunch of letters. So when my friends and I were 12, some other friends were talking about this place they had found a few roads down from a school. They said it was an insane asylum, and this sounded like a total lie, but it was enough to scare us a bit. And eventually, after they convinced us to go see it with them, and we met after school and walked down there where it apparently was. Our school was in a suburban area and completely surrounded by houses for a kilometer in every direction. This place was stuck in between two homes. It had a high hedge and a small gate that split it into two. You could see the roof over the hedge. Everything was fairly well maintained, but it didn't look deserted. However, when you're 12, you can't back down if someone calls you a fraidy cat. So we had to go. Read break-in.
Yeah.
Well, once we got inside, we found that it really was some sort of hospital. There was no one there, but the place was totally trashed. All the interior stuff had been left behind, but it looked like it had been thrown and kicked around the rooms. Everything was broken and scratched and ripped and torn. Chairs, tables, couches, curtains, windows, those little brown medicine bottles, paper, files, bent metal cabinets, etc. It was just a hospital-themed trash heap. There were also dark brown stains along the walls. Long lines like if you dragged your finger or hand, but also vague shapes like letters that scared the hell out of me. The place definitely felt deserted, but there was also sunlit streams through all the windows, and nothing looked particularly old, so it had this really odd, surreal quality. The best bit was finding two legit white padded rooms, with that tiny window in the door and the curly iron gate in front of it, just like in a movie. In that particular mess, I found a blue file filled with handwritten notes on exam pad paper. In alternating blue and black ink, it read like a nurse writing a diary about her patients. Tuesday, 16th of June. He was better today. There must have been about 100 filled pages, but it seemed to focus on 3 or 4 patients. At that point, we knew for sure it was some kind of institution, not that the padded rooms didn't give it that away. But I decided to take the file home, and at some point someone found a piano and smashed some keys, and we all just ran. We didn't stop screaming until we got back to the road. I still had the file, but realized my mom would want to know where the hell it came from. And she was... Oh, we're going to break. I'll read this on the other side. Don't go away, folks. More of the Paranormal Portal coming right up.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
From which they cannot wake. I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Yes, I tell you, yes. They can go on for years and years. And so can the Paranormal Portal, ladies and gentlemen, but we're just going to go for another hour.
Another hour.
One more hour, folks. That's all you're getting. That's all you're getting. One more hour, and then we're out of here. You understand?
I think I bruised my ribs.
Oh.
All of them.
Do you want a dry rub? Thank you.
Don't say anything, Don. Don't say anything.
Just save it.
Just savor it. No, seriously.
What'd you do?
Shoveling all that snow yesterday.
Oh, really?
3.5 hours.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to get all buff, all that shoveling.
Dream made some holy water. She boiled the hell out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently.
Kind of important. Yeah. Should be clear. Should be clean and no sediments. And
She's going to
such.
use it against Lucifer Morningstar.
Oh. Nah. Our Lucifer's good.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's a good chap. We like him quite well, actually. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going through an article from Ranker, and it's Encounters with Vanishing Places.
Yes.
We just were going through the story of these kids taken out from their school and going to check out this abandoned asylum. They went in, and it was all trashed, but this one kid kept a notebook that had all these log entries, and he kept it and brought it home, but now he's like, I still had the file, but realized my mom would want to know where the hell it came from. And she was a fan of grounding me for almost no reason. But I also started to get this really weird sick feeling in my stomach whenever I held it. So I left that stuff on the street and went home. We still regret that, but also not really. We must have spent about 2 hours exploring that place, and there were 8 of us who all remembered that day. I also still live in the area, so I could go there now. The only thing is, it's not there.
Wow.
I get that renovations happen on properties get sold, especially with all the time in between then and now, but we never found that place again after that day. Mm-hmm. We tried to go back, but we couldn't find it. It was like it literally vanished into thin air. The hedge, the gate, everything, gone. We even checked the other roads in case we were on the wrong one, but nothing. And that makes no freaking sense. I mean, imagine there's a rational explanation, but that definitely turned that afternoon into legend for all of us and is still the creepiest experience I've ever had. Wow, that's crazy. I like these stories, though. They're really, really good. This article's almost done, so I'm going to just finish it. But the next one is from Bokenshaw, 94. Excuse me. Checked the mall map, and it wasn't there. Went to Singapore with my mom. Went to a mall when went for lunch. The food court floor was cylindrical in shape with a glass area in the middle or something. We settled down on a pretty nice restaurant, not too crowded but not too deserted. Good meal. 2 days later, we went back and wanted to eat there again, but it was nowhere to be found. We walked the perimeter of that circular room several laps but didn't find it. Checked the mall map, and it wasn't there either. Either Singaporeans are wildly fast at closing down a shop and opening a new one in its place, or it was just a very mysterious occurrence. Wow. The ghost restaurant with the fancy bathroom is next.
Wow.
I think this one, there's just a few more. Well, I guess
There's a few more
there's
than
a lot
that.
more.
There's a few
All right, I'm gonna stop the article here because I do want to get to the Dogman stuff.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm going to leave it there. And we're going to get to some Dogman stuff, folks, because we got to get into some upright canine reports from... And this one is from phantomsandmonsters.com. In fact, we got a few of them from phantomsandmonsters.com. And ladies and gentlemen, check out phantomsandmonsters.com. Check out all the work he's doing over there. There are several people affiliated with that site, but it's Lon Strickler's site.
Right.
Host of Arcane Radio as well, the podcast, and a fantastic guy. He's a guest on our podcast, and wonderful person. Definitely head over to phantomsandmonsters.com. He's got tons of reports on Dogman, Mothman, Black-Eyed Kids, just tons of stuff that has been reported to him through the years. He's got a hell of an archive. If you want to get into some of the creepiest stuff out there, check it out.
Right.
And support him if you can. So
real quick, Aussie's feeling a little left out because he missed roll call. So let me fix that for you real quick. Aussie Tiger, third phaser, Gooforian, Rock Fam. How the hell are you?
good to see you,
I
brother.
don't even know what hell that means anymore, but what's up, Aussie?
I don't know what a Goophonian rock fam is,
Goofonian.
but
Oh,
I know
yeah.
third phase of the moon.
Yeah.
I think Aussie's a mod over there or something.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Yep, very cool. But good to see you, brother.
Oh, and Julia just popped in, too.
Julia
Yeah,
Saltamontes.
I'm enjoying my COVID quarantine, thanks.
Well. All right, let's get to this report. Upright canine encounters state game lands. You're like a teenager over there. What the hell?
My phone is just like blowing up.
I know. What the hell's going on
My
here?
boss sent me some things, and I think, I don't know. So let's
Boss,
see.
he's busy right now, huh?
Hey, boss, I'm kind of busy.
He's kind of working here, huh? What if I come over to the shop and we do a portal right in your floor,
And
right?
besides, you guys kicked me out for 10 days. I'll help him put a steaming coiler right there.
Oh, I never said that. That was not me. That was not the show. That was Don.
Don't call me a D-hole.
I didn't.
No.
All
Julie
right.
did.
Oh, okay. All right, so Upright Canine Encounter State Game Lands, number 166, Blair County, Pennsylvania. Again, Pennsylvania is such a hot spot for this stuff.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's kind of the same thing as Ohio. Ohio also has a lot of claims of a lot of different things. I just did an interview today with a lady from Ohio.
Which you'll be able to hear on the podcast.
Yes, on Sunday.
So you'll have to hear that.
It was a good interview too. She's sensitive and has had lots of experiences and does cleansings and is an intuitive psychic. I'm not sure if a label is important, but it was a great discussion. We had a great talk. So this is location State Game Lands number 166, Blair County, Pennsylvania. Here are the notes I took when I spoke to the witness on Sunday, 21st of 2016. I'm waiting for his written statement and a map pin pointing to the area he was in when the sighting occurred. It said, witness said he was walking a trail in the State Game Lands, number 166, adjacent to the swamp near the creek. And he had his shotgun for a walk in order to get a few shots off at some crows. Why do people hate crows so much?
I don't know.
understand. I love crows. The sun was just starting to set, but there was plenty of daylight left. When he got past the swamp, there was a large patch of mountain laurel that was very high, maybe 5 to 6 foot in places. And it was at the patch of mountain laurel he felt uneasy, like he was being watched. Note, at this time in the conversation, the witness' voice changes and he is distraught.
Oh.
After a slight pause, he continues on to the report. He turned and looked at a patch of mountain laurel growth over his shoulder. He could see something standing in the growth. As he turned to get a better look, he saw 2 muscular legs under the laurel, but could only see from the shoulders up, as it was behind a large patch of growth. It was at least 8 foot tall and had locked eyes on his eyes. I asked what color the eyes were. He said yellow, and it had, from what he could see, a wolf-like head and dark gray or black short fluffy hair. It never took its eyes off of him as he backed away. Witness chokes up again. As he made his way out of the area, he had a real bad feeling about what just took place. He has hunted the area all his life and never had anything out of the ordinary happen in the game lands during hunting season or out of season. I asked him how he found me, and he said he was looking for a few weeks on who to report it to, but never found anyone other than Bigfoot people, and this was not a Bigfoot. He came across my website on Google mentioning our hunt for a bipedal wolf-like creature, and he filled out the report. That's pretty wild.
Wow.
That was written by Butch. I'm not sure who Butch is, but yeah, that's really cool. That's got to be unnerving.
Which Witkowski?
Is it
Right there?
Where is it?
Witkowski.
Oh, Butch Witkowski. Okay, sorry about that, Butch.
So who is he reporting for?
He's doing
is he
it.
part of Lawns?
Yeah, he's part of
okay.
the research team.
Oh, okay.
That's I think what it is. There's several people, including the Waylands. They're working, of Singular Fortean.
Yeah,
they're working with Lon as well.
Yeah, they give a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, they do. And so that's got to be really unnerving, though, folks. There's a kind of a map on screen as well for those of you on YouTube. You can see this, but these footprints, eyewitness reports, P&M, Fortean, UFO Corp eyewitness reports. So Phantoms and Monsters, Fortean, and UFO Corps, or UFO Cop. Oh, Fortean. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, very cool. So they're doing a lot of research out there and talking to eyewitnesses and stuff, but that's got to be unnerving. 8 foot tall, Don. Had a wolf-like head, strong muscular legs, bipedal.
I was wondering if it had dry rub on it.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was going to be the one dry rubbed.
Yeah, Dan in chat says sees an 8 foot thing in the woods and has a bad feeling. Really, I've been like,
Good point. Yeah, that's
a bad feeling.
That's like the understatement of the century.
No kidding.
I saw it and I had a bad feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Yeah, I think I would have a lot of bad feelings. Like, don't eat me, don't eat me, don't eat me. I don't taste good, don't eat me. That would be my feelings.
You're crunchy with ketchup.
Here's another one from phantomsandmonsters.com, and this is an upright canine sighting. Otter Lake, Pennsylvania.
That's ridiculous.
It's utterly ridiculous.
Yes.
Niagara region, Ontario.
Oh, okay.
So there's a couple, I guess. 2 of them, yeah. And so the first one, the transcript comes in from Midnight in the Desert radio show on a night when crypto researcher and author Linda Godfrey was a guest.
Friend.
I miss Linda. Washington in Georgia called in to tell of a strange sighting he and 2 of his friends / brothers had. I saw a creature while I was camping in Pennsylvania, and I don't know if you're familiar with that area at all. I was with a couple of friends of mine, and they saw it as well. It had yellow eyes and almost like a human face with very long, very big, almost kind of wrinkly ears. It had hair or fur on that as well, and on the face, like all the way around its face, and very large hands and very skinny arms. It had, I noticed, its legs, it had like knees bent backwards, like hyperextending, in a way. The most disturbing thing about it, and I didn't hear you, Linda Godfrey, comment, and it still haunts me to this day, when I think about it, is its head movement. It kind of moved its head almost like a pigeon, like kind of darty, very quick head movements. And when I saw this, I was maybe about 2 feet away from me.
What?
Yeah, it was maybe 2 feet away from him. I don't think it knew I was there because I was sleeping in a Volkswagen van, and it was in a campground called Otter Lake in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And there was a couple of hunters that were up fairly late by the fire, and it seemed to be very engaged in what they were doing, and it was paying a lot of attention to them, peering its head around the campers very suddenly. At first I thought it was another camper, and my eyes adjusted and I saw what it was, and I was absolutely terrified. And for the rest of the night, me and my buddies just covered in the van and even called the state police, and they acted like they didn't know where we were and they thought we were drunk. They kind of laughed and said, "We have no idea where that is. We wouldn't know how to get to you." They suggested we stay in the car and that it was basically it. Not very helpful. Another thing, I don't know if it was related, but I heard a really weird call, almost like a two-toned, almost like a scream, and another call all within one. Wow. That's weird. That's pretty weird.
Wow.
So there's another report under it. This one's Otter Lake in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, Monroe County. No, this is Otter Lake, was where this happened. It's in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, Monroe County. The area is heavily populated with wildlife, thick cover, and approximately 12 miles from the Delaware River, New Jersey border. I received the following email from Ontario Dogman and Other Creatures on Facebook after I posted the recent bipedal sighting in southern Ontario. Hi, Lon. It's Judy Brown from Ontario Dogman on Facebook. I'm not sure if the following info will help you in your investigation of the Dogman sightings or not. My sighting was in the latter part of the 1960s, and it occurred in what was then a small village called Cook's Mill, Ontario, or Cook's Mills, Ontario. It is very near the border between Welland and Niagara Falls, Ontario, and is close to the 3 sightings that you have gotten lately. Butch is right when he commented that dogmen are not afraid and will stand their ground, because the dogman in my encounter stood in the road and stared us down for about 30 seconds before running off. I think it had been eating roadkill when we drove up to it. Excuse me, my late husband also had an encounter with a dogman probably sometime in the 80s. He was driving home from work on night shift at about 4 or 5 a.m. when one ran across the QEW ahead of him. He was heading from Oakville to Welland, and this happened just after the Queen Elizabeth and 403 split, before he went over the Burlington Skyway. It ran from right to left across the highway, so it would have been heading towards Lake Ontario. He said that after crossing the road, it jumped a chain-link fence and disappeared into the tree line. This makes 5 sightings between Lakes Erie and Ontario. It also attests to the fact that there have been UFO sightings over Lake Erie on the Canadian side. These sightings were in an area called Lowbanks, which is between Port Colborne and Port Dover, close to the Wainfleet area. I don't know if this helps, but I thought you might like to have this information. Take care, Judy.
What was Judy's name? Judy
Brown. Judy Brown from
Is there
Ontario
E
Dogman.
at the end of that?
Nope, just BROWN according to this text.
That's ambiguous.
Just like the color. It's Ontario Dogman on Facebook.
I'm not finding it.
Oh, Ontario Dogman?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe they blocked us.
Well, there's Judy Brown that lives in Toronto, which is Ontario.
Well, unless it's a typo. I mean, it could be. All right. Well, that's a good report, though. Very cool. And now we're going to go to another one from phantomsandmonsters.com. And this is an upright wolf encounter, Homer's Gap, Pennsylvania. See, I'm interesting. I find it interesting that they call them upright wolves. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if maybe the terminology in 2016 really hadn't caught on yet. And, to where everybody's calling it Dogman, or what the deal is. But you see a lot of these encounters are called upright wolf. But, I think Linda Godfrey had her Beast of Bray Road quite a bit earlier than this.
When was that?
This one is as of July 29th, 2016.
Because Linda Godfrey was like 95, 6, 7.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's quite a long time. Let's see what this says. It says, first of all, this will be my only post today, following up on sightings, including an encounter I received last evening. I received a telephone call from a 36-year-old man from Altoona, Pennsylvania. He'd come across a blog while searching for information that could help him identify a creature he encountered in the summer of 1998. The location of the encounter was an area known as Homer's Gap, which is located in Logan Township in Blair County, Pennsylvania. He and another man were traveling west on Homer's Gap Road, approximately 2 miles from the turnoff onto Homer's Gap Road from Grandview Road, and as they were in a wooded residential area, they noticed something standing on the side of the road. As they slowed, the light from the nearby residence illuminated an 8 to 9 foot upright wolf.
Wow.
8 or 9 feet.
Wow, that's huge.
That's gargantuan. Described as looking the same as the lichens in the movie Underworld. Wolf-like head covered in black and brown matted hair, long muscular arms with human-like hands hanging down along the body. There's a picture for those of you on YouTube, what the Underworld lichen costume looks like. And so that's what people attributed this to look like. That's creepy.
Yeah.
As they approached this beast, it immediately got down on all fours and sprinted across the road, and it was then they noticed it had large black human-like feet and hocked legs, rather. So that means that it's plantigrade, or is it plantigrade or digigrade?
Digigrade.
Digigrade, yeah. Okay. The body had a huge chest and sparsely covered in hair, as well as tapered body with muscular legs. The height of the back was higher than the vehicle's hood. As it crossed the road, it looked back at the vehicle when they noticed its bright golden eyes. After it crossed and moved into the woods, the driver floored the vehicle, almost losing control, and both witnesses have not talked about the encounter since. This encounter is very similar to others that we have received throughout central Pennsylvania, in particularly the area we have designated as Lichen Loop. This sighting has been recorded on the Pennsylvania Upright Canine Dogman Witness Sightings map. Yeah, that's very strange. Huh. That's a great picture, though. I thought those wolves or the werewolves from Underworld were absolutely horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Really well done. And it's surprising because I'm looking at that and thinking, what would that be like to just suddenly look up and there it is? You know, like not a buffer.
Right.
Like say if you're in the woods, you're maybe just by a bush or something, and then suddenly you hear a noise and look up, and there standing in front of you is a 7 or 8 foot tall creature that looks like this. What do? I think you poop yourself first, and then it just goes downhill from there. Because I don't know how you function. I would be too terrified to move, I think, because anything at that point could trigger something to go sideways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the whole fear response.
Oh, I don't have it up on screen, do I?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. There it is, folks. There's the picture from the Underworld. That's the lichen costume, or a facsimile of the lichens. Yeah. And so, sorry about that, Aussie. Thanks for the tag, because that helps. I don't know. What are you typing? Oh, you're doing something else. Okay.
Right. I'm conversing. I found Ontario Dogman and Other Cryptids. It's a private group.
Okay.
And that's her group. So.
Okay. Well, yeah. Just help me watch the chat if you would, please. I hope I haven't missed more. Let me look. Nope. I haven't missed anything more. So there we go. We're good. Yeah, that's very interesting. So, if you see that, what do you do? What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what you do.
Find a new pair of shorts.
Yeah, you need a big
What else could you
spatula, a
do?
new pair of shorts, and probably talking a lot of Jesus at that point. Like, don't let me get eaten. Don't let me get eaten. I mean,
Oh God!
yeah.
Oh God!
All of a sudden, a whole new
God.
strain of religion's growing up in you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you're devout religious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrifying. But again, they don't normally attack people. I mean, many people are coming face to face with these things, and although people are plenty intimidated, and I think these things like to intimidate people, they don't generally attack. I'm not going to say never, because we still have people disappearing all over the place with no sign, and a lot of weird circumstances where dogs won't even track it. So there's a reason dogs won't track. There's something that the dogs are smelling, go, nope, I'm staying here, nope. And I could certainly imagine this being something they wouldn't track. So it is possible they are taking people from time to time, but generally speaking, they don't.
You know, and that's what Linda Godfrey says too. Is you know, they just don't report actual. You know, and then the guys from Into the Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had they had that experience.
Well, the judge had that experience.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, it's like a game. We're a toy to them, not a chew toy, just a game that they play with us, and they don't seem to really. I don't know, just the way it looks.
Brownies and lemonade, Brent. Yeah. It'd be a fresh batch in my drawers, that's for sure. Yeah. Dan Camp says Dogman paces people and cars. Yeah, that's a great point.
That's what we hear.
Yeah, they just like to, I don't know, I think they like to flex, you know, for whatever it's worth. Like there's a bit of hubris in that for them. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Flexing,
look at me, look at me. Come on, I'm looking at you, look at me. What are you thinking, huh? Get out of my land. Something like that. I don't know. It's crazy. It gotta be terrifying though, folks. It's gotta be utterly mortifying.
If you cross one in the woods, yell "sit" and hope for the best. Oh my gosh!
Good boy. Yeah, they make kissy noises. See how that works for you.
You want a treat? Not me! Not me! Give me my arm back!
Just like the multiple canine dogs that were unable to track and find Brian Landry's body, that was just a mile from the park entrance.
You think
and then,
so?
That's what it says. Android says. And they started the canine search just a few days after he disappeared. Right. I mean, there's a reason, right?
Yep.
But there's another reason, folks. We're going to go to our last break of the night. And we'll be back again to cover more of the Dogman strangeness that we've come to love here on the show. So don't go away. It's just getting juicy up in here. So we'll be right back. Remember, if you're watching on TFR iHeart, tune in to TalkStream Live. Coming up next is Paisley Wild, The Spaces Between, coming up in just a little bit after our show. And she does her shows right on YouTube as well, youtube.com/The Spaces Between. So definitely check it out. And we love her dearly. She's working hard, bringing the best information she can. So don't go away, folks. We're going to go to break. back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the last half hour of our show tonight. Do you got the time for it? THYME. I go. All right. Oh, Don, you should love food humor.
Shall let's continue after the break. Good one, Rachel.
See what you did there.
Maggie and
All right, so we got a little more Dogman fun to go through here in the evening before we cash in our chips for the night. Let me see what's next here.
You know, somebody said in the chat said, I guess mercy. I wonder about 8 million films. Dogman never seems to be sighted by accident like Bigfoot. Yes, Patty Troy says Dogman never seems to be sighted by accident like Bigfoot sometimes is. I think I agree. I think they want to be seen as opposed to Bigfoot, big feet, Bigfoots, big feeties. I don't know, but they don't seem to want to be seen. But Dogmen don't mind being seen. And you know, we talk about big Sasquatch, easier to say. This is a lot easier to pluralize. Sasquatches, they seem to have this thing when they accidentally get caught looking, like a counting coup kind of thing, like the kids, the juvenile Sasquatches out there messing around and finding out, and I think you're right, but I do think you're right though. I think it's more like Dogmen want to be seen. Yeah. And to somebody else, let's see here. Brooke says, I guess I'd hope Bigfoot might have mercy on me and not kill me, but Dogman, I don't think I'd have a chance. I think you're right, but once again, we've never really heard of any Dogman attacks. Now, that's not to say there isn't any. It's just that we really haven't come across any. Yeah. And besides, where would these stories be coming from if they didn't survive? So there you go.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if there was an attack, if a Dogman attacked you, it means it wants to kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just no bones about it. And I think
about it.
And I think if it does make that choice,
it's done.
You're not living through it.
Yeah, you're done.
So that's why the dead men tell no tales kind of thing,
Cold Stare says, wonder about that old 8mm film they found years ago. Somebody filming a Dogman that chased him and disappeared.
No, the Gable film is fake.
Is it fake?
Yep, it's absolutely fake.
Okay.
And Linda Godfrey met with the guy who allegedly found it, and then he admitted to her it was completely fake. He showed her the old truck and all of the props that were used in it, the old snowmobile. The Gable film is not real, so if that's what you're talking about, that's definitely not it. And that's the one that's where it's in this kind of semi-wooded grassy place, and you suddenly see this figure squatted down, and then it starts running, and it's actually just it's a stage. It's staged. Unfortunately, a lot of people still like to subscribe to that like it's real, but no, it's not. And ladies and gentlemen, here's the other part of it. The real Dogman sightings are something that is roughly 7, 8, 9 feet tall. Mm-hmm. Whatever's in the Gable film was probably like 5'6" at the max, and it was a person. And he's very quick at it. I gotta give him credit, but it's not. It's something in the Dogman encounters consistently. When they're on all fours, you hear their back is up to like the hood of a car or bigger. Or several feet off the ground, and whatever the Gable film is, even if it is still questionable, it's very small. We people, we can't get up real high unless you see those videos of people that are kind of, really bent over, and they kind of got their butt in the air and their back, and they're loping around pretty good for being on all fours, but it's still.
Mike Agrusa is the director and actor known for the Gable film in 2007, Monster Quest in 2007, and The Proof Is Out There in 2021. So that's the new one. That's him. He's responsible for the Gable film. So there you go.
Yeah, it's and Linda Godfrey told us that I saw her heard her interviewed on another show, and the guy was like, "Yeah, well, what do you think about the Gable film?" And she goes, "No, it's not real."
The guy was
like, well, no, maybe we're not talking about the same thing. She goes, no, it's really not real. I know exactly what you're talking about. And she said that she heard about it and went and confronted the guy, and the guy basically told her, look, it's all put on. It's a
one of those
hoax.
found footage.
Yeah, it's a
movies.
found footage hype thing. And, I mean, he was like a DJ or radio guy, and was just trying to drum up some interest, I guess, or whatever. But it did go on, and a lot of people were really hook, line, and sinker about that. And that's why I say, you really got to be careful what you're willing to say is actual proof.
And be discerning about what you believe is proof.
Yeah. I mean, look into that stuff really carefully, folks. And there's if you look deep enough, now I know there's the other side of it where people say everything's fake. It's all fake. Oh, that's fake.
Yeah.
And, there might very well be some very real footage out there. And I think I've seen pieces of very real footage. Not so much of the Dogman because it's so scarce and sparse. I've seen what could be photos and seen what looks like a spiritual Dogman on that video from Facebook. I think that's pretty compelling. But, again, it's anybody's guess. But, anyway, let's get through a little bit more that we wanted to get through tonight. This one is from Phantoms and Monsters. I think I should do the Brent Swanser, though, because that'll take about what's left of the show.
Well, yeah, we've got very little time left. Wow.
Yeah, about 19 minutes. So let's do this. Werewolf Demons, the bizarre case of the South End's werewolf.
The werewolf South End.
That's right. That's what he says. And this is coming from Mysterious Universe, our good friend Brent Swanser, who is really an incredible journalist in the paranormal. And you can catch up with his work here on mysteriousuniverse.org. Not here, but there on mysteriousuniverse.org. And it's a great site. Definitely support it. And you can catch up with Brent Swanser and his group Dark League Paranormal on Facebook. And he's a great guy, just a fantastic guy.
Tracy, I agree with you. Tracy says, I, for one, don't want to believe they're real. Yeah, me too. Well, gosh darn phone, dang. D&D.
Now we're going to have to leave your phone in the couch.
I know, huh?
But anyway, let's get this article. He's a judge, too. Who's a judge, too?
He's talking about the guys from
yeah.
into this.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Shane
Yeah,
well, the
definitely.
Shanes. The judge's name is Shane, too.
Right.
Yep. Shane Groves and the judge are great guys. Yeah. They've been friends of us here. They were on the show.
They've been on the show, yeah. And you
I've
were
been on their show,
Yep.
yeah. All right, so here we go from October 19th, 2016, the case of the South End werewolf. In the annals of the
Annals. In the annals.
In the annals of the world of the strange, there are some
With the
cases
rim shot.
that are really hard to classify. Some are just seem to transcend the borders and attempts to put them into any one file of the weird. For instance, there have long been the classic unexplained phenomena of ghosts, demonic possession, and werewolves, but very few cases that manage to blend them in all together into the hybrid hodgepodge of bizarreness. Yet one of the most baffling and striking accounts of the paranormal manages to do just this. In a quiet seaside area of England, a normally mild-mannered family man found himself suddenly consumed by a ferocious, unidentifiable force that would go on to become a persistently odd case that would meld the aspects of the hauntings, possession, and lycanthropy, and which remains a truly anomalous case that avoids easy classification. The story of what would go on to be called the South End werewolf begins in the Essex seaside town of Southend, England, on a warm, sunny Saturday afternoon in 1952. On this day, 9-year-old William Ramsey was out in the garden of his family home playing by himself, as he tended to do. He was an imaginative boy who would often spend hours out there in his own little world, lost in his imagination. There was nothing particularly odd about him being out there, lost to his imagination on this day either. And having just returned from a day out of the movies watching films about World War II pilots, he was out acting like he was a fighter pilot, much to his mother's amusement. But then something decidedly odd occurred. After about an hour of playing out in the grassy backyard as usual, young Bill Ramsey suddenly felt a strange wave of cold wash over him, like some icy winter chill, even though it was a warm, pleasant afternoon. After this initial chill, he started shaking uncontrollably and could detect an unpleasant odor permeating the air around him. He would later recount about the feeling, "Have you ever walked into a meat locker right after you've been outside on a hot day?" And that's what this was like. I was playing and my body temperature was normal, and then, well, I'd say it felt as if my body temperature dropped a good 20 degrees. Sweat froze on me and my body started shaking. It was as if I'd opened this door and stepped inside to another dimension or something. And there was this odor, very foul. A few years earlier, a sewer on our street had backed up. I'd never smelled anything as bad as the gases that escaped, and that's what this smell was like that day. I was afraid I was going to vomit. As young William stood there and bewildered and trying to make sense of the strange sensations and smells assaulting his senses, they suddenly subsided, and yet felt that something within him had changed. He was no longer interested in pursuing his imaginative play, thinking it rather childish and petty, but was rather extremely tense, coiled, and on edge, his senses keenly attuned to his surroundings. He glanced around him and up at the darkening sky, but everything seemed somewhat off to him. And images of wolves began inexplicably dance through his head, as well as the irrational sudden urge to run off down the road on all fours toward the sea. At some point, his concerned mother came over and called out to her son, trying to snap him out of his daze, and it was at this point that Bill was suddenly overcome by a blinding, inexplicably burning rage that coursed through his entire body, like an electrical current, and a deep growl lurched forth from his mouth. Before he even knew what he was doing, he allegedly tore a nearby fence post completely out of the ground, along with its concrete mooring and wire fencing, displaying a vicious strength far beyond what a young boy should have been capable of, and proceeded to swing it around like a baseball bat in some sort of adrenaline-fueled rage. The out-of-character outburst was enough to frighten his parents into fleeing hastily into their home, where they waited for their son to calm down and gain some semblance of sanity. As they watched, their normally mild-mannered son began to tear apart the wire fencing with his bare hands and even gnaw at it with his teeth like some sort of wild beast. Bill's father decided to try and subdue his son, but was met with strength far beyond what he was expecting, and he was unable to pry the fence post from the boy's iron grip, with his own son snarling at him, lashing out at him like a beast. Bill's father retreated back to the relative safety of the house. After several minutes of this epic tantrum, little Bill Ramsey began to calm down and finally dropped the fence post as he stood there panting like a dog, blood dribbling down his chin from the cuts that he had sustained from biting the sharp fencing wire. After feeling the coldness and rage seep and leaching away from his body, Bill trudged over to the house and calmly asked to be let inside. His parents obliged, but they did so cautiously, not sure if their son would revert to the animalistic fury he had displayed just moments before. As they awkwardly ate dinner that night in near silence, their thoughts going over the strange events of the day, they mentioned that whatever it was that occurred was not to be talked about again, and that they should try to forget about it ever happening. It was at this time that Bill's mother would later claim that she had noticed that her son had subtly changed somehow, although she could not quite put her finger on what it was. The family went on to live a peaceful life without further such incidents. Bill Ramsey would go on to have a normal life, get married, and have 3 children. He became a respected family man long past that fateful sunny day. However, shortly after his marriage, he began to be plagued by vivid nightmares by which he would sometimes wake up panting or growling like an animal, so much to the concern of his family. The bizarre dreams and episodes would eventually stop in 1967, after which the family seemed to be free of whatever issues were haunting Bill. They would have a happily life for years, and Bill started to think his life was getting back to normal, but then in the 1980s, a series of bizarre incidents would prove to him that there was still something very much wrong with him indeed. In early 1983, Bill was out drinking with a group of his friends when he claims he felt a sudden rush of icy cold and sweat, very similar to what he experienced as a child. Feeling ill, he went to use the restroom and says that when he looked into the mirror, he could see the frightening visage of a wolf staring back at him.
Wow.
Steadily unsettled by the whole incident, he asked to be taken home, and as he was riding in the car with his friends, he was reportedly overcome with an irresistible rage that took over his body and stole its control from him. He began to snarl wildly, turning to the friend next to him and attempting to bite his leg. The driver of the car was able to pull over, after which they all struggled to restrain Bill and get him under control, a feat that took all of them since he seemed to be displaying a freakish amounts of strength. Bill would eventually come back to his senses, marking the end of a very strange, very awkward evening out, and he would later say that he could remember nothing of the odd incident. Later that year, things would only get stranger still. At around Christmas of 1983, Bill began to suffer from nearly incapacitating sharp chest pains, something which he had never really experienced before. He was overwhelmed by a cold sweat that poured from his upper body. His immediate concern was that this was the onset of a major heart attack, and Bill found his way to the nearest hospital emergency room, and once there, he was urgently put on a gurney and prepared for examination. But as he waited, he could feel the familiar odd chill from his boyhood episode spread out and overcome him once again. At one point, a nurse bent over to examine him, and Bill purportedly let out a guttural roar and lashed out at her with teeth bared, biting onto her arm, after which he threw around furniture and scurried into the corner of the room to growl, roar, and pace like an animal. Police arrived, and together with the hospital staff, they were able to restrain the immensely strong, rampaging man onto a gurney and sedate him with tranquilizers. All the while, as he ferociously snapped his teeth at them and roared like a wild beast. Witnesses would later say that Bill had seemingly completely, utterly animalistic at the time, and his hands curved into claws, teeth bared, lashing out at those around him and snarling and growling unintelligibly. One of the policemen who had helped to restrain Bill would later claim that the man's eyes had looked feral and wolf-like.
Wow.
Is that a picture of him? That is a picture of him, Bill Ramsey. Okay. The sedated man was brought to Runwell Mental Hospital, and when the drugs wore off, Bill claimed that he had no recollection of what had happened and had no idea why he was at a mental hospital. Although doctors were suggested that Bill stay and undergo further evaluation and testing, he declined, and since he had voluntarily checked himself in at the hospital, he was allowed to leave. It was the attending psychiatrist's opinion that he was likely to have another such episode in the future unless they figured out what was wrong with him. But at the time, Bill ignored him and went home, thoroughly exhausted from the whole ordeal and hoping that no further such mysterious attacks would emerge. The doctor would turn out to be right. On January of 1984, Bill went to visit his mother, and as he was driving home, he felt another episode coming on. Realizing the now familiar telltale signs of an impending episode, he rushed as fast as he could to the hospital and ended up in the same emergency room as he'd been in before. However, by the time he arrived, the wolf-like ferocity had already utterly consumed him. When a lone nurse told him to wait a moment for the doctor, Bill allegedly lashed out at her and threw her roughly to the floor before pouncing upon a startled orderly, in a frenzy, choking him and trying to bite him. Police arrived shortly after, and 4 officers warily circled Bill, who was by this time once again a savage, snarling beast. The beastly, fierce display was so frightening that none of the officers wanted to approach him, and when one did, Bill's response was to set upon him as a predator might do to prey, apparently injuring the officer so badly that he would remain at the hospital for 4 days afterwards. Wow. The police would later claim that it took all 4 of them and all of their strength to get Bill into handcuffs, and that he had been much stronger than his appearance would suggest, to the point that he even wondered if the handcuffs would even hold. After he had been put into the handcuffs and thrown into the back of the patrol car, Bill reportedly came back to his senses and, as before, could not recall anything that had happened. From the time that he had been approaching the hospital after being interrogated and rationally attempting to tell his bizarre story to the no doubt skeptical authorities, it was recommended that he check himself into a mental hospital. Bill refused and was later released. Unfortunately, it would come to be clear that checking into a mental hospital might not have been such a bad idea at all. On the evening of July 2nd, 1987, Bill stopped by a bar called the White Horse Inn to have a drink. Well, this is a bunch of bad choices. After a hard day at work, there he met some friends, and they ended up having a good time chatting and drinking. Although by the time Bill left the bar, he was fairly drunk. Worried that he was too drunk to drive and that a policeman might pull him over, he nevertheless got into his car to drive home, deciding to take a quiet route home where he hoped he could avoid other people and the cops. At some point, he came across a lone prostitute walking along the street and got the bizarre plan in his head to make a citizen's arrest. He pulled the van over, invited her in, who obliged, and she thought she was dealing with a customer. However, as they drove, she began to get a very strange and ominous feeling from Bill, as if he meant to do her harm. She soon asked to be let out, and that was when Bill started to let out a rumbling growl under his breath. When the car slowed down enough, she allegedly made a panicked run for the nearest police station, and Bill stepped out from the car to follow her. A police officer emerged from the station as Bill approached, and when he drew closer, the beastly force overcame him, and he threw the policeman to the ground and began choking him. Allegedly, the officer was much bigger than Ramsey, yet the smaller man exhibited almost supernatural strength and easily able to overwhelm him. More police officers then came running to their fallen comrade's aid, yet Ramsey proved to be a force to be reckoned with, easily tossing the men aside as he roared like an animal and allegedly spat out, "The devil's in me. I'm going to kill you." And it would purportedly take 6 strong police officers and several injections of tranquilizer to bring the wild rampage to a stop. Again, Bill would later claim that he had no recollection of it all, of what had actually transpired. The woman known as Lauren would later doubt that Ramsey had ever had any intention of arresting her, instead preferring to believe that he had picked her up with the expressed interest of attacking her. In the aftermath of the vicious assault, Bill finally checked himself into a mental hospital for evaluation, fearing his own safety and the safety of those around him. A slew of tests were run on him, including x-rays, MRIs, and various psychiatric tests. Yet no discernible cause for the outburst could be found. There seemed to be nothing wrong with him, neither physically nor mentally. He was kept for observation for 10 days, during which time he remained his normal, rational, and mild-mannered self, leaving the hospital no choice but to release him. The police station attack propelled Bill case into international headlines, and soon everyone was talking about what was come to be known as the South End werewolf. In the meantime, Ramsey had several more violent animalistic episodes, which on several occasions prompted him to go to the police and plead to be locked up to prevent him from harming anyone. Bill Ramsey's plight would capture the attention of famed demonologists and supernatural investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren, as they were on a trip to London. After contacting local law enforcement officials, the Warrens were able to get in touch with the Ramseys and arranged to meet with them. After the Warrens at first were suspicious that the whole thing had been a hoax, after several talks with the police and Bill's family, it soon became apparent that the strange events that had transpired were very real. Although no one had any idea what caused them, the Warrens became convinced after several talks with Ramsey himself and his wife Nina that he was in fact possessed by a form of demon animal spirit. After much cajoling, Bill was convinced by the Warrens that he should come to their church in Connecticut in order to undergo an exorcism with a Bishop Robert McKenna, who had met many exorcisms under his belt. In 1989, Bill Ramsey and his wife made the trip to the States, hoping that perhaps an answer and cure could be found to his escalating condition. In the days before the exorcism, there was a bizarre incident in which Bill attempted to choke his wife in her sleep, which he could not remember in the morning. And when the time for the exorcism actually arrived, they were present: Bishop McKenna and the Warrens, Bill Ramsey and his wife, paranormal investigator John Zaffis, staff from the tabloid magazine, the people who had funded the trip, and several off-duty policemen who were to serve as bodyguards if things would spiral out of control. When it began, Bill was reportedly skeptical and unimpressed, but as the bishop rambled on in Latin, he felt nothing whatsoever, and he began to think the whole trip had been a waste of time, and later claimed that he had felt it was all mumbo-jumbo at the time. Yet as McKenna began to press his stole against Bill's head and demand that the demon identify itself, things would take a sudden turn for the weird. Bill's demeanor abruptly changed, and he began to snarl viciously, and his face contorted into a beastly visage, teeth bared and eyes wild. His hands also curled up into talons. He began to thrash about in rage. Lorraine Warren would later claim that even his physical characteristics changed, with his ears appearing more pointed, his face more feral, and his hands more claw-like. Bishop McKenna also said Bill's appearance had changed, and at that moment, the frenzied demon-possessed man lunged forwards towards him, trying to maul him. McKenna stepped back away from him and produced a crucifix, which he held high while commanding in Latin that the demon leave at once. This seemed to only further infuriate the demon, and Bill lunged and swiped at the bishop, who ordered the nearby policeman to stand down while things played out. Just as the frenzied, out-of-control Ramsey seemed to close in for the kill and was about to seriously hurt the bishop, something odd happened. The man who had moments before been a whirlwind of snarling, spitting aggression suddenly fell to the floor in a heap, with one last roar rattling through him before he fell still. Bill would later say of what happened, "The poison that had been in my body drained from me completely, and I was left without any strength at all, and when turned to look at Nina, that small movement caused me to black out. I gripped the chair as tightly as I could, and let the demon continue to be pushed away by Bishop McKenna's Latin words. And that's about all the time we got. So
Wow,
I guess he was exorcised, ladies and gentlemen. So very cool. And that article is here if you want to read the conclusion of it. I'll put it in the chat, and you can check it out for yourself. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Don, anything quick?
Nope, nothing quick. Just love you all. Thank you. Check out Teespring, buy stuff, and we'll see you later.
All right, guys, that is going to do it for us. So thank you so much for being a part of our journey tonight on the Paranormal Portal. We love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Love you, mean it. All right, we'll see you guys later.